Welcome, everybody, to the debut episode of The Table Spot here. My name is Metal Mike, and I'm joined here, as always, with the man with the best beer in the business. He is my co-host here every Monday night. He's the host on The Boom, over on The Boom PW Pod, over on YouTube and on Twitch, Mr. Cam G. Cam, how you doing on this wonderful Monday night?
Yeah, man. It's a pretty good Monday night. Doing pretty well. Yeah, man. Here to talk some wrestling. There's been a lot of wrestling here with past weekend or so. We had Saturday's main event on Saturday, and then like I said tonight, Monday Night Raw. So, yeah, heading into SummerSlam. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Just here to talk some Raw.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of hoping tonight's show was a little better. Especially, we've been off for the past 3 weeks on Monday nights, kind of catching our breath and just like catching a breath, taking a little break from Monday nights to kind of, re-energize ourselves and everything like that. And then obviously the brand new revamped look of the Table Spot, new logo, new background, get everything together. Super exciting. And sitting around today, and I even said it to you, I really hope Monday Night Raw is a good show tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, we did not get that.
Unfortunately, but we're going to make it the best we can. We're going to talk about it the best we can because, like you said, we are on the road to SummerSlam. We are 10 days away from SummerSlam. SummerSlam taking place Saturday, August 1st, Sunday, August 2nd, a two-night event. The two main events, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk for the WWE Championship, and Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns for the World's Heavyweight Championship. Got a couple other matches already announced. We got a new one announced tonight for it, which seemed to be like the focal point of Monday Night Raw tonight, which made why? I mean, I'm a Danhausen fan. You know that. But even me, I'm like, I said this to you, like things are starting to kind of get a little old with stuff like that. Like this stuff starting to get a little, Yeah. But Monday Night Raw took place in Detroit, Michigan, the Motor City tonight. And Cam, as I always ask you, what would you grade Monday Night Raw tonight?
It's a big fat F. They did not entertain me. I struggled to stay awake during the course of this program. I was questioning myself midway through the show, and I'm just like, wow, I really just like wasted my Monday night watching this show. After, and I know it sounds dumb, but like after like kind of being excited, and that could have been maybe because I was bored. There was really nothing for me to do before the show started. So I was just like, okay, I don't know if I want to use that word excited, but I guess kind of looking forward to what they could potentially produce for tonight. And then to get that, it was just like, I'm not even really shocked, really. It's got to be up there with one of their worst shows. Probably one of their worst shows of the month of July this year. It just didn't do anything for me. It really didn't. It almost felt like they were kind of missing half of their roster. Like some of their bigger names, No Sol Ruka, Penta didn't really do anything. Roman wasn't there. So it just was like their bigger names and kind of their bigger, talking points going into SummerSlam or building for SummerSlam really just were not a part of the show tonight. So they kind of just sprinkled in a lot of stuff. There was a lot of bloodline stuff, minus Roman, a lot of Judgment Day stuff. And then they just sprinkled in some random people that you really don't see that much on Raw, like Joe Hendry, who really has not done anything since getting called up on Monday Night Raw except for concerts. So yeah, they really did not entertain me tonight. I'm sorry.
and we're getting another one next week, another concert.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
I'm with you. I give it an F. Tonight's show, I struggled to kind of stay awake too. I caught myself dozing off a little bit during matches. And it sucks because as a wrestling fan, I want to ask you this before we really dig deep into this show tonight. I want to ask you this as a fan, as much as we love pro wrestling, do you ever feel like that if you catch yourself starting to fall asleep during a show that you're kind of like, do you feel like you're disrespecting the talent in the ring with being a big fan? Do you ever feel that way sometimes?
No, because it's not so much them, it's the situation they're placed in, I think.
Okay.
On in said night of events for said Raw or SmackDown or whatever.
Yeah.
If the course of what I've already seen before their match, segments before, matches before, whatever, haven't already entertained me, I'm already tuned out anyway.
Yeah.
So they really have to. I feel I get what you're coming from with that, or I get where you're going with that.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them because they have to be tasked with carrying the show and adding some kind of excitement for me to be into, or to get into the show. And sometimes there are matches that at the start I'm like, I really don't care. Then like 5 minutes in, I'm like, yo, this is actually getting kind of good. So sometimes those matches will pick up and I'm like, okay, that was actually a banger. That was probably the match that saved this show. So not really. It's just like I said, it's so much more just the show, not really so much them. It's just the show's already not having me, in interested, I guess, or intrigued.
I think I know where you're coming from, because we always talk about the writers and the story that they're writing for the characters. This is what we want you to present to us in the ring. And some wrestlers, they'll read the script and say, man, this is chicken shit. We got to try and turn this into chicken salad. So they go out and try and do it. But the bad part is because of how bad the story is, and they're trying to tell that story in the ring with their action, it's just not, it's not resonating.
Yeah.
And when they do that, and I'm not a wrestler, I'm not in the ring. I've stepped foot inside a wrestling ring, but I've never done anything inside of a wrestling ring. So when they go and try and do that and try and put the performance on, it's like they're trying so hard to give us something entertaining, but the story just doesn't resonate in their head, because they already know story is chicken shit. We got to try and turn it into chicken salad. But some of the ingredients that should be in there that are missing, that they want to add in, that they're not allowed to add in, would help the story. It just takes away. And I get it. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm disrespecting the talent because they're trying their hardest to give us something entertaining. So if I'm starting to fall asleep during an event, during a match, even just a match, I'm like, man, they're in there, giving us their best. And it's not their fault. It's the writer's fault, because they're trying to tell us a story and the story's just not resonating.
Yeah.
So it's like, man. But I think a lot of the guys and girls were gone this week from the show because Fanatics Fest took place out in New York this weekend, which was a big weekend event. I mean, tons of stuff happened at Fanatics Fest. They even did the SummerSlam kickoff show there. So they, had a lot of stuff going on in New York. But we got a lot of pro wrestling coming up this week. We had Monday Night Raw tonight. We got Dynamite on Wednesday. We're going to talk about Dynamite on the Boom, over on the Boom PW Pod on Wednesday night, right after AEW Dynamite. And then we got Redemption on Sunday.
Yep.
And then we got Monday Night Raw, Dynamite. Then we got SummerSlam. So in the next 10 days, we got a lot of pro wrestling coming at us. TNA has stuff going on. Ring of Honor has stuff going on. I believe MLW is going to be in Philly, or the NWA is going to be in Philly in the next couple of days. They got a bunch of stuff that's going to be happening. It's SummerSlam week. It's almost like WrestleMania week.
Yeah.
A bunch of stuff happening with different promotions. So, but it just seems like Minnesota, unlike WrestleMania, when WrestleMania is happening, everything's happening in that city. Where for SummerSlam this year, a lot of the events that are happening all over the place. It's not just happening in Minnesota, which is odd, because normally they focus that one city, for all that stuff. There is one thing before we get started, though. There is one thing I'm excited about with starting this Sunday coming up. You know what's coming up this Sunday, Cam? Shark Week. Shark Week starts. So excited. Love Shark Week. Been watching Shark Week for the past 15 years now. Fucking love Shark Week. But let's get into Monday Night Raw, coming from Detroit, Michigan. Kicked off the night with a tag team match between Javon Evans, Dragon Lee taking on The Vision. Non-title matchup. Good way to kick off the show because Javon Evans, as we know, he's a very exciting athlete. Dragon Lee is the same. Fans love these two guys, especially. I mean, I took my nephew to a live event last week, and Javon Evans was on the live event. When that kid's music hit, my nephew fucking popped. Like, he was so excited to see Javon Evans. And you know me, I'm not the biggest Javon Evans fan, but I respect what the kid is doing and building his career. And he's going to be a huge star one day if he continues elevating himself the way he's been doing. Took on Braun Breaker and oh my gosh, forgetting his name. Who was Braun Breaker's tag team partner tonight? I forgot his name.
Austin Theory?
Austin Theory. There we go. I was watching Grayson Waller stuff earlier today, and yeah, I got those two mixed up. Austin Theory. The Vision ends up picking up the win over Tozawa and Javon Evans and Dragon Lee. And then after the match, Otis and Tozawa came out to help out Javon Evans and Dragon Lee in a post-match attack. It looked like Otis and Tozawa had the upper hand for a while, but that changed very quickly when Braun Breaker hit two huge spears on Otis, leaving pretty much all of them guys laying, and the Vision standing tall in the middle of the ring. I mean, Paul Heyman, past couple weeks, he's detached himself from the Vision. He's gone. It seems like this crew is now head up probably by Logan Paul, probably by Braun Breaker, Maxine. Who's heading this group? Because Paul's not there anymore. But the Vision stood strong tonight. They stood strong at the end of this match and the end of this segment. Cam, your thoughts on this tag match and everything that transpired afterwards. Next week, we're getting to Tozawa and Otis against the Vision, by the way, non-title match.
A lot to unpack here. First of all, I think this was a solid opening tag match, which kind of made me feel a little bit better about just how things could go tonight. So when I seen this, I was like, okay, maybe we're actually going somewhere tonight. So a decent tag match for sure. Random tag team with Javon and Dragon Lee. Javon's kind of on a losing streak. He really hasn't won a whole lot. So I don't really know what we're doing with either him or Dragon Lee going forward. Probably having them, occasionally tag here and there. I think they're really trying to vamp up that tag team division with heavy rumors of Enzo and Cass coming back. They probably want them to come back to something or somewhat of a healthy looking tag team division versus just them coming back and looking like the only big fish in the pond. If you notice at the beginning of the match during the entrances, if you notice when the tag champs came out and Braun Breaker's the first one through the curtain, you can tell by his body language, it just looked like he didn't want to be there. Like he comes out, he's just dragging the title. He's so detached from anything that with the Vision right now. It just doesn't seem like he really even wants to do it. It's and I don't really blame him. It's a massive cool off from what he was doing. He was like a runaway freight train coming in hot when he came to Monday Night Raw originally. And then, like I said, being paired with Paul Heyman for the short period of time that he was paired with him was great. And now he's just kind of in this mid card tag team. And like I said, and that's what I think they said it on commentary as well. That's exactly what they are. I mean, that's what the Vision, that's what they are. They were kind of shoved down our throats to be this big deal, this main event thing. When they had Seth, they turned on Seth, and then it just really kind of positioned them into just being a mid card faction. That's what they are, and they're just going to do mid card things, win mid card titles, win tag team titles. That's really it. That's their ceiling. I really don't expect much of them to do anything else outside of that. Like I said, this was a solid match. Honestly, it was. It probably wouldn't have hurt to put the tag team titles on the line, just to have them, just give them a defense. It's really kind of up in the air if they're going to defend the titles at SummerSlam. I would assume so against Otis and Tozawa. A lot of interferences tonight, which is another one of my harps on tonight on Monday Night Raw. Like almost every other match we saw, we had an interference, and it just turned into a disaster.
Yeah.
with Otis and Tozawa, I would say this: that tag team has gone through a lot of turns. They had Chad Gable as their leader, and then he turned, and now he's like he's going through this whole Kurt Angle American hero-esque phase right now. Now then most recently they had Maxine, which if you ask me should be their breaking point. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, we lose Chad Gable, okay, that's one thing. We lose Maxine, who's been with us I think way longer than Chad Gable was. Yeah. Okay, we're sick of being the guys that are always the getting the short end of the stick of people we trust and allow into our group, and then we just get dropped like a bad habit. So they really need to do. I don't expect them to win tag team titles or anything like that, but I think they need a transformation. They need something else. Because I think you could make them a fun-loving, goofy tag team.
Yeah,
but they need something else. They need to shed what was their names before, the American Alpha or whatever it was.
Alpha Academy.
They need to shed that and just become something else. New entrance theme, new name for that tag team, and just become something else. And I think they're positioned really well against the Vision right now. I'm expecting that to be night 1, night 2, them against the Vision for the tag team titles. That would be great. So yeah, do something different with those guys, because I think they could be good. They could be a good, fun-loving tag team that people love because they're just goofy. But they need to shed that already because it's over. No one of that group is left except for them. So, but other than that, like I said, great tag team match. I think this was a great way to start things off. And like I said, it's just the only thing that I really can gripe about is just things just get muddy with all these run-ins that we saw tonight. So
yeah, I'm with you. Otis and Tozawa, they looked good tonight. They did look good tonight, even though they got the back end of it to where they were left laid out and made the Vision look standing strong and everything like that. Otis and Tozawa still looked good tonight by getting some stuff in to make them look. They just need to look a little stronger. Yeah. I'm with you. They can be that fun-loving tag team that panders to the crowd and is out there and, thank you guys, yada, yada, that uber babyface team. They can be that. But I want to see Otis turn it up another level. I want to see him become a monster that he can. Otis can be a monster. I mean, the dude he's a big dude.
Yeah.
I mean, if I ran into Otis on the streets, I'd be scared of him. I would be. If I didn't know who he was, I'd be like, I wouldn't want to mess with him. No way. I would love to see Otis just get that mean. Like when the bell rings, this switch turns on and he just starts taking people's heads off. And Tozawa, I mean, I don't know if you can really make Tozawa look strong. I mean, he's a smaller guy, so he's not going to be body slamming, 350-pound guys, but he's athletic. And we know that. He's very athletic and he's very talented. So let Tozawa show the talent that he was showing back when he first came in. Because when he first came in, he was in the Cruiserweight Classic. Yep. He was, number one contender for the Cruiserweight title almost all the time. And you've seen what he can do then. Let him bring that back. Stop this joking around stuff. Let these guys be serious when they need to be serious, and they could be that fun-loving tag team when that time is right. They can position these guys very well. Again, we've talked about this on Wednesday night. We talked about this on Monday night weeks ago. Tag team divisions all around right now, it's rough. AEW, TNA, WWE, it's rough right now in the tag team division everywhere. And we sit here as fans like clamoring for something to happen to boost tag team wrestling. I love tag team wrestling. I do. But lately, there's been nothing to really rave about. So now you turn your attention more to the storylines that are happening in singles competition. But when you look at the singles competition, it's almost like it's faction against faction and not just one-on-one.
Yeah.
And if it's one faction against a group of guys, random guys, for example, the Bloodline against Seth Rollins, LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, this guy, that guy, this guy. It's like random guys who all hate the Bloodline but can't stand each other. Like, kudos on making it make sense. But at the same time, it's like, how long can this last?
Yeah.
We're tag team wrestling. When you get two guys that can team up and have been doing it for a long time, like the Usos, the New Day, guys that were put together, like Otis and Tozawa, who've been together for what? Better part of 2 years now? At least. They're considered a tag team.
Huh.
They can gel together.
Yeah.
They can do good things. Just put them in the position to do so. So let's talk about the Judgment Day, man. A lot happened with the Judgment Day tonight. It seemed like they were the big focus of this show tonight. We caught them right after the opening tag team match, pretty much trying to they were trying to little brother Danhausen for money that Danhausen owes them. And went to a commercial break, and we will talk about the vignette that happened during this commercial because I want to get into it, the big cast vignette. I want to talk about this. We are going to talk about that. We come back from that commercial break, and Danhausen's coming out to the ring, has a bag with him, says he has the money for the Judgment Day. He says, but he doesn't want to give it to them. So he'd rather give it to the crowd. The Judgment Day comes out. They end up getting the bag from Danhausen after Danhausen cursed them, and Joe Hendry came out and tried to help them. We go to a backstage segment. Danhausen's back there and ends up giving the bag of money, and they see that it's Danhausen money. Obafemi wasn't too happy about this. He's getting sick of this whole money deal, and he just wants to fight. And we end up getting a match made between Obafemi and JD McDonough, where JD McDonough, well, we know what happens. Obafemi ends up beating him. Dominic Mysterio later on the night took on Joe Hendry, and Joe Hendry ended up getting the win in that match. After a couple things happened, number one, Danhausen came out, got in the face of Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan hit him. Io comes out to defend Danhausen, and then Danhausen hits a triple D on Dom. Joe Hendry ends up picking up the win. So a lot happening with the Judgment Day tonight, all surrounding them and Danhausen and Joe Hendry. And now we are getting Dominic Mysterio and Danhausen at SummerSlam. Cam, you said it to me off air. You pretty much said what Obafemi said. You're getting sick of this. It's old. I agree. I'm a Danhausen fan. I love Danhausen. But I even agree this whole money thing is getting stupid. It is. And hopefully SummerSlam, it comes to an end because it needs to. We need to move on from it. But your thoughts, which again seem to be the bigger focus tonight of Danhausen, Joe Hendry, the Judgment Day, Io Sky, and Obafemi.
So all of this is kind of just kind of blended together. There was really no time to let anything breathe or feel important with this. And again, this is just another big problem with the show tonight. Again, with no Brock and I guess no Roman on this show, there's really nothing for Oba to really come out. You could have had Oba come out and cut a promo, but what's he going to say that he hasn't already said? So instead of doing that, you're gonna put him in a match. You're gonna put him in a match against JD McDonough. Now, as much as I like JD McDonough, and there's probably not a lot of, I'm probably one of the rarities that really likes JD McDonough. So as much as I like JD McDonough and much as I like Obafemi, that match did really nothing for them at all. Like, what was the point? Like, no one, if you're a fan and you thought JD McDonough is gonna beat Obafemi this close to SummerSlam and potentially tarnish any momentum or halt any momentum that Oba has going in, because he needs all of it going against the freaking beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, going into Hell in a Cell for SummerSlam. You're crazy. Like, he was not losing to JD McDonough. And if he did, it would have been Liv getting involved. It would have been Dom getting involved, and then he would have lost that way.
Yeah,
and it still would have been bad. It still would have been a bad look. So he wasn't going to lose that match. Again, Joe, like I said, with Joe Hendry, like I said, you got to get him involved. It's like they are lagging behind with him. Get the ball rolling with him anywhere, just literally, because I think he can be another crowd favorite. He could be another uber babyface. again, I mean, like I said, with him with NXT, they were having him just pop out of freaking refrigerators and trash cans, and his music would start playing because someone said his name, like stuff like that. Like he doesn't even really need to be in anything big right now. But if you're just keeping him fresh and doing something with him, I wouldn't so much keep this repetitive with this concert thing, because eventually that's going to get old, and it's just like, okay, is he ever going to really wrestle and get involved in something again? Him chasing the Intercontinental Championship, I think that will be good.
Yep.
Again, that Intercontinental, I've said this many times before, that Intercontinental Championship scene looks stacked because they got so many guys in there, so many talented guys that I think would look great with that championship, that could have decent runs if it's written well. Again, with again, now with this whole money thing, I don't know when this started. I don't know how this started, but all in all, I just don't care. I don't care. Like, what is the point? I don't see anyone online going, even the biggest WWE fans sitting there going, oh man, I can't wait to watch Monday Night Raw so I can see what's going to happen with the Judgment Day in this money situation with Danhausen. Like, come on, bro. Like, and you wonder why you are struggling to sell tickets for SummerSlam. Gee, I wonder why. Like, no one is clamoring to see this. So hopefully we get this match done and out of the way with him and Dominic or whatever, and we're done with it, and we can just move on. The thing with Danhausen, I've tolerated it, and I haven't really had a whole lot to say about Danhausen. After Saturday night's main event and tonight, it's like, all right, now I feel like they're trying to like force feed me this idea of being a fan or going out and purchasing a Danhausen shirt, which I get, because of course they're going to make sure his face is shown anywhere and everywhere, ESPN and Netflix and SmackDown and wherever else, Saturday night's main event, because that's the guy they are pushing the most merch with right now. So it makes sense. I get that. But for someone who's not particularly a fan of Danhausen, it's like, all right, I get it. But now I'm like getting annoyed because it's like, chill out. I haven't bought a Danhausen shirt yet. I don't really plan on it. So now I'm literally getting annoyed. So it's like, all right, cool, calm down. But I don't feel like we need to see Danhausen every single week, because he's pretty much doing the same thing every week. The curse thing and whatnot have you. I would assume, since he has cursed Liv Morgan at least 3 times now. So pretty much. I think she's overly cursed. So she's probably dropping the title to Io at SummerSlam. I would think so. So we'll see what happens there. Other than that, I mean, this was, my God, this was a mess. It was just all over the place. Everything just meshed together. Like nothing was given the proper time to really breathe and feel important. So
yeah, it was like after one segment happened, they went to like a 30-second break, then they went to the next thing, and it was for the same thing. The only thing that really got breathing time was after the Joe Hendry, or I'm sorry, my notes were flipped. After the Obafemi and JD McDonough match, we got 2 segments, which was the solo segment, which we're going to talk about, and the Penta tag match, and the backstage between Seth and Jacob, and the Paul Heyman promo. Like, we got that 40-minute breath of air before we got to the Joe Hendry Dom Mysterio match. So you're right. They didn't give much time for any of this stuff to breathe tonight. And again, it seemed like it was the big focal point of Monday Night Raw tonight. Speaking of SummerSlam, real quick, I'm looking at ticket prices for SummerSlam right now. They are super cheap. Like, my gosh, I can get an upper level ticket for SummerSlam right now for $60. Like, that's for night number 1. For ringside, in the 1 section at ringside, it's $124. Ringside tickets for $120.
That's
like
wild.
What? And then you have a commercial with Justin Jefferson promoting. Yes. By the way, use this promo code to get $25 tickets. Like, and that's the thing is the SummerSlam card doesn't look too bad right now. Like, it doesn't look bad on paper. Seth and Roman, Cody and Punk. You know, a couple of matches on the card that look at Io and Liv. And then are they crowning? They're crowning. I didn't catch SmackDown when they talked about the women's WWE championship. Is that ladder match happening at SummerSlam as well?
Yes,
for the championship. Okay,
to crown an interim women's champions.
First, this is like the first time since the '80s that WWE is doing interim championship.
Yeah,
they have not done an interim championship since then.
Yeah,
every time somebody has gotten hurt, they've stripped them of the title, crowned a new champion. They haven't used the interim title. Now they're using the interim title. So that's a little bit of a change because that still guarantees Rhea to come back and say, hey, I get my shot.
Right.
I get my shot to get my belt back. So I kind of like that. I know a lot of people are sick of Rhea Ripley being champion. Me, I'm a big Rhea fan. Like, I wouldn't be mad if she went on a Roman run. I wouldn't be. I know a lot of people would be. I wouldn't be. But Danhausen, he is a moneymaker right now for them. He is. He is their guy to go out and do promo work. He comes out during the shows. Hey, make sure you head up to the merch stand right now and get my shirt or I will curse you. That stuff. You go into a mall at a Hot Topic and the first thing, you go into the mall in my town that's across town, like 15 minutes away from me, where the Hot Topic is, the first thing you see on a rack, Danhausen shirt. And I'm not bullcrapping you. I will go to that mall sometime this week and I will post it on social media just to prove to you that's the first thing you fucking see is a Danhausen shirt in Hot Topic. So, like, his face is everywhere. And I get you want to use him to do things like he's doing, but eventually fans that aren't fans of him to begin with, you're going to wear it out so quick, they're not going to want to be fans of him. And then people that are fans of him, like me, I'm sitting here agreeing this whole money thing is stupid. Let's get past it. I shouldn't be saying that if I'm a fan of Danhausen. I should be liking what he's doing already. Not liking it. Not a fan of it. So, after SummerSlam, this match with Dom better be it. Because we don't need it no more. Just like Obafemi, you said Obafemi, he could have cut a promo tonight or something like that. What more does he have to say? Hell in a Cell set up, ready to go. Let's get him in the ring and ring the bell. That's where we're at with Brock and Oba. We don't need no more talking. Now the Paul Heyman promo tonight, that was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah,
the setting of that promo was sick. The first thing he says is, they told me not to use the word violence, but how am I supposed to sell you the cell without using the word violence, especially with having Brock Lesnar and Obafemi? Great promo tonight by Paul Heyman. Great sell on Hell in a Cell. And I'll say this, if I was somebody that sat here and said, I opposed to signing up for the ESPN app, because I don't want to pay. If I was somebody that didn't have it and didn't want to pay for it, this promo would have definitely got me saying, take my $30. I need to see this match. They sold me the past couple weeks, but this was like the exclamation point. Paul did that tonight. I don't know if you agree with me on that. What are your thoughts on the Paul Heyman promo?
I was already sold on the match itself.
Yeah.
But just saying, they try to get creative when Brock's not there, when they know Brock's not there. I think this is one of the things that they put on their priority list in terms of when they're building these shows for Raw. They're like, okay, we know Brock's not going to be here, so we have to get creative. We have to figure out a way to keep this fresh and build something new and have something said that hasn't already been said to create more hype or whatever. And I think they accomplished that tonight. I love the setting. I'm always a sucker for those settings where it's not like it's some formal sit down with him and Michael Cole or Kathy or whatever. It's just a setting with just them, just like some dimly lit setting. And then it's just like the cinematography, the cinematics that they add, these video packages. We saw like young Brock. I think he was walking into the Hell in a Cell, that classic Hell in a Cell he had for the original Undisputed Championship against the biker Undertaker back in the day, back in the early 2000s. One of my favorite Hell in a Cell matches, at least somewhere in my top 5, I would say. Classic match. Anybody who hasn't watched that match or doesn't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the Hell in a Cell because it's freaking amazing. So things like that, like I just love how they added that, and just what you said, just how can I sell you on this cell when I can't talk about violence? That is the key element to Hell in a Cell. We know this already. The things we have seen and things we have seen done to the human body of these wrestlers in various Hell in a Cell matches all include violence. So I loved it. Once again, Paul is just a freaking wizard with his words and selling us on Hell in a Cell. So I absolutely loved it. This was one of those things that really made me, if I was half asleep for most of this before this is one of those things that woke me up and had me sitting on the edge of my seat because I was definitely excited.
So Brock Lesnar, yeah, he faced The Undertaker twice inside Hell in a Cell. He faced him during Biker Taker time, and then he faced him back when it was like almost right after he beat him at WrestleMania 30. It was like, I think a year or two after he beat him at WrestleMania 30, they faced inside Hell in a Cell, and Brock ended up winning. Now, what's crazy is I'm looking this up, and it's saying that Brock Lesnar is 2-2 inside Hell in a Cell matches, and the only person he beat was The Undertaker.
Could be a typo.
It could be.
I don't know any other Hell in a Cell matches he had.
Yeah, the only two were against. I believe the only two he had was against The Undertaker.
Yeah.
He was involved in the 2018 Hell in a Cell match between Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, but that was just an attack. That was to set up, I believe, him and Roman. Because him and Braun, I don't think they had anything going on in 2018. I think it was him and Roman. So I think the only two he had was against Taker. That's it. So he's undefeated. 2-0. So, but anyways, I mean, how can you sell a Hell in a Cell match without talking about violence? You can't. It's as simple as that. I mean, even when you go back to what was considered the worst Hell in a Cell match ever between The Fiend and Seth Rollins, that still had some violence in it. So you can't talk about Hell in a Cell without talking about violence. I want to ask you real quick, do you have a favorite Hell in a Cell match?
My favorite Hell in a Cell match, it's probably a toss-up between Taker and Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
And then Taker and Mankind.
Okay.
So them two.
They were the first two?
Yes.
First two Hell in a Cell matches. Michaels and Taker was first, and Mankind and Taker was the second. So my favorite one of all time, and again, a lot of people probably won't agree with me of this being a top because so many guys were involved, but the Armageddon Hell in a Cell, the 6-man, it was Stone Cold, The Rock, Rikishi, The Undertaker, Kurt Angle, and Triple H. Loved that Hell in a Cell. I loved the build up to that Hell in a Cell. The Rock's promo, like a week before that Hell in a Cell match happened, was priceless because he mocked everybody and it was freaking great. Like, it was great. I did it for the people. I did it. Oh, shut your mouth, you thong wearing fatty. Like, that's, my God. If you did not, guys, if you were watching, if you have never seen that promo, look up The Rock's Armageddon Hell in a Cell promo before that match happened. Fucking gold. So, but Brock Lesnar, Obafemi, Hell in a Cell, SummerSlam. Real quick before we move on, I was listening to Busted Open last week, and Bully Ray and Dave were talking about, or no, it was Bully Ray and Mark Henry. We're talking about what night and what placement this match should be on. Should it be on night 1? Should it be on night 2? Should it be middle show? Should it main event? Could it main event? Do you think with the 2 world title matches we have, do you think this Hell in a Cell match could ultimately main event one of the nights? And what night do you think it should ultimately be on?
Well, off the bat, I feel like it should be night 2.
Okay.
Secondly, I mean, I thought about that after the Paul Heyman promo about, man, this seems like it could be big enough to main event. But judging by the fact that neither one of their matches went at least 10 minutes, the first 2 matches that they've had, I'm just like, it would be a really short main event, because I really don't see this being very long either. It needs to go at least 10 minutes. This needs to be the longest. If this is the final blow off, this needs to be longer than their first 2 matches for sure. So I just think in terms of length, knowing that it's probably not going to be very long, I don't think it should main event really.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see it go on before the night 2 main event. Second to last. I think that would be a good placement for it.
That's fair. I can agree with that, because I've heard some people say that they think the match should open up night number 2. But here's the thing is, number 1, you don't know what that Minnesota crowd's going to be like, because every crowd's different. The Detroit crowd tonight was kind of touch and go. They were very touch and go tonight.
Yeah.
But that's kind of understandable with the show that they got tonight, because tonight's show was not so good.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, it's going to depend on that, I think. But number 2, if you open up with a Hell in a Cell match and you are building this to be your biggest fight of the summer, because every summer they always pick 2 guys to have the biggest fight of the summer. These 2 guys are legitimately the blueprint for like a big fight of a certain time. And these guys go out and tear the house down. They're going to pull all of that adrenaline from the crowd. And then what do you get from the crowd the rest of the night? Because the crowd matters.
Yeah.
I mean, we sat through over a year and a half of wrestling, almost a year and a half of wrestling with no crowd. We got piped in crowd noise, but that didn't help any. In the Thunderdome, people on screens, like that didn't help any. You got to get that natural sound of a crowd. And that helps shows. It does. But if you pull all that adrenaline from people in the crowd and that match ends up being a fucking banger, what are you going to get from them the rest of the night? You know, so I'd be very picky about where I place this match. I think I agree. I 100% agree with you. Put it on before the main event. Put it on before the main event. Because we know Punk and Cody are night 1. Roman and Seth, I believe, are going to be night 2.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's a definite. So, but we'll have to see what they do, how they place this match. Big Cass, real quick. We've been getting the promo for the past week now, the vignette of him making his return on August 3rd, the night after night 2 of SummerSlam, the first Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam. I know the big question is whether Enzo is coming back or not. And I kind of wanted to say this. I know there's the speculation of the possibilities of Enzo coming back with Big Cass. But I kind of don't see it in a sense, because in this vignette, they show Big Cass taking out Enzo. You know, so part of me feels like they wouldn't bring these 2 back together at the same time with each other, especially with showing that little footage of him taking out Enzo. You know what I mean? Like, am I making sense on that?
Makes sense.
So, but I'm excited to see Big Cass come back, because like he even says in the vignette, like, I haven't reached the mountaintop yet. But he pretty much has the plans to get there. With Big Cass coming back, as a fan, what are your, even if you have small expectations, what are your expectations for Big Cass's return coming to WWE? What are you looking for in Big Cass with his return?
That's a great question. I don't know really. I get. Really, I guess I'm wanting them, or this regime, to really, I don't know, just try new things, I guess, with
Yeah.
Big Cass this time around. I think they're kind of staggering them. So they're bringing in Cass now, and then I think they're going to bring in Enzo later. Hopefully that time period is not too long, because I really don't trust Cass on his own for too long.
Okay.
That has a very small ceiling too. I really do feel like it. I mean, the previous regime with Vince, it was like, Vince was very high on him because, obviously look at him. He's a tall guy. He loved the 6-7 footers. So but that didn't really go anywhere. That I mean, and that was shown in the vignette. Again, by the way, great vignette, great, little package they had there. He's like standing in front of this screen. He's like basically watching his career play out in front of his eyes. So, and that was one of the things. It was like they started to go somewhere with him, and then he just kind of felt like a generic big guy, gets injured, and that was pretty much it. Cass was pretty much dropped after that. And like I said, as you said, to your point, they showed him turning on Enzo. Maybe he's watching this play out and he's seeing his best moments. He's seeing his worst moments, the highs and the lows, and maybe the regrets. And maybe him turning on Enzo was one of his regrets, because that was the biggest he was when he was with Enzo Amore. So I'm hoping not for just him, but for him and Enzo, if they're bringing them in because now they are trying to, I feel like this is the response to letting the New Day walk, because they know like maybe that was a humongous mistake, and it definitely was, because I think they're going to set the world on fire as soon as their 90-day non-compete is over.
Definitely.
And like I said, I think they know they screwed up, so them bringing them in, I think they're trying to like have that they're trying to reinvent, maybe not so much reinvent, but sort of revive, I guess is the better word, the tag team division or whatnot have you. So I'm just really hoping that with both Kaz and Enzo getting the second chance that I would say they both deserve. I think they were both done wrong and not really given a second chance, and it's long overdue now, because that was years ago. That they are definitely treated better, and we have an actual direction for them. Don't bring them in and then their hype dies after a month, and then they're on YouTube wrestling on speed or something, or you know what I mean, or doing backstage segments with Danhausen. Like, let's actually do something with these guys. I think they have the potential to do something special in the tag team division. So
see, and this is why I tell you guys, after the show tonight, go over to Cam's Wrestling Corner. We're on TikTok, because Cam has a lot of great insight on his videos over on TikTok with pro wrestling. He just changed my mind on something I just talked about a minute ago, and that was the video part with Enzo. It left me questioning, why would they do that if they're showing that part of him taking out Enzo? You just made sense, and it comes from one word: regrets. Regrets. It could be a regret of his, and now I'd accept them bringing them back at the same time together, because that's part of his regret. So go check out Cam's Wrestling Corner on TikTok. Great insight and great opinions on professional wrestling. Do it right after the show and hit that follow button, and keep an eye out for all of Cam's videos over on TikTok. Let's talk about the Penta Gable versus Rusev and Ethan Page. We got Penta and Gable facing each other for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. I have a lot of high expectations for this match, because we're seeing that resurgence of the Chad Gable character after being El Grande Americano for the past year and a half. Penta, a great Intercontinental champion. He won the championship a little before WrestleMania this year, and he's been running hard as the Intercontinental champion since then. He's been a great representation for that championship. He's kind of given it a little more life since getting it, because the Intercontinental Championship, let's face it, the Intercontinental Championship was kind of like a pass around for a while. We've seen Braun Breaker hold it. We've seen Jey Uso hold it. We've seen a couple people hold that championship. And now Penta gets it. And Penta has been a fucking workhorse with that championship. He is the face of the Intercontinental title pitcher, basically. Penta is up here, especially when it comes to the Intercontinental Championship. And now he's going to face Chad Gable, somebody who we've talked about for the past almost 3 years about being in the Intercontinental title scene, finally getting a shot at SummerSlam. Penta and Chad Gable end up winning this match. Chad Gable ends up hooking the ankle lock on Rusev, and Rusev tapped immediately. Like, he did not fucking wait for the lock. It was like Chad Gable grabbed his leg, fell back, and before he can even twist, Rusev was tapping. And that was the end of it. Penta Gable ended up picking up the win. Your thoughts on this tag match?
I get another okay match, I guess. Chad Gable easily the standout here. I think he was on fire. Again, everything seems to really be clicking with him ever since the great work he did down there in AAA. Except for that entrance theme, like that, I don't like that entrance theme. The theme that Otis and Tozawa have should belong solely to Chad Gable. That's his entrance theme. Period, plain and simple. So everything outside of that has just been some good stuff. And again, I don't even think they realize what they have in Chad Gable. The dude's a Swiss Army knife. Like, he can do it all. He can play a heel. He can play a jerk. He can play the guy that's coming out, that's kissing babies and shaking hands. Like, he can do it all. He is this generation's Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle was the same way. Kurt Angle can be goofy 1 month, 6 months later, he can be the most hated act on TV. Like, it's fantastic. Yeah. So please do something with him, because you've wasted enough of his time doing nonsense. You got lucky. You got so lucky with the El Grande stuff, because at first it started off and it was like, oh, okay, this is funny, this is great, whatever. Then after a while, I was like, okay, this is run its course. What are we doing with this? Yeah. And then you got that gold mask versus mask. So you got lucky with that. Now let's do something with him. This is a slam dunk. This is the easiest slam dunk of Triple H's booking career. Yeah. Okay. SummerSlam is in his hometown. That crowd's going to, I would think, explode once his music theme hits.
Especially if he beats Penta.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Probably the second to Brock Lesnar's pop, loudest pop, one of the loudest pops probably of the night when his music theme hits in SummerSlam. So that's a no-brainer. Him winning the Intercontinental Championship, long overdue, because we were saying that he should have beat Gunther when Gunther was on his reign of terror, when he held the championship for over 600 days. So again, another okay tag match. Didn't really do much for me, not necessarily. Just outside of, like I said, just Chad Gable and the amazing work that he does. So we'll see what him and Penta is able to produce for SummerSlam. I'm excited for that match as well. I think that's going to be a pretty good match. I think it's a sleeper, because they really haven't built a whole lot. It's really just built on respect. Yeah, really just competitive respect between the two, with the two being both, baby faces or whatnot have you. So we'll see there. But just good stuff here and there within this match.
This tag match didn't have to do too much tonight either, because they stayed in the realm of the Intercontinental title picture, because Ethan Page and Rusev are both in the picture. Chad Gable's the number one contender. Penta's the champion. And you're right. I mean, it's a no-brainer to have Chad Gable win the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. Well, like I said, Penta has been doing great things with the Intercontinental title. And hate me if you want to by saying this, okay? Have Chad Gable win at SummerSlam, even if he has a 24-hour run with it, and then Penta wins it back on Monday Night Raw or a week later, you still have enough time and space to have Chad Gable chase that championship again. Chad Gable is going to be in the Intercontinental title picture regardless, whether he wins or loses at SummerSlam. I think that is the realm that he is in right now. If they took him out of that and put him in another bullshit area of things, not saying the El Grande Americana stuff was bullshit, but if you take him out of that and put him in some bullshit storyline or get him involved in something that he realistically does not need to be involved in and drop the ball with him, then you're lost. What else do you do with him? Because you've already wasted, like you said, wasted enough of his time. So win or lose, regardless, Chad Gable needs to stay in this picture. And he needs to be on the forefront of contenders for this championship. He does. And if he wins it, and you are so gung-ho on Penta being your champion, then be respectful to Chad Gable. Even if you have him hold it for the 20, keep him in this title picture. Because your ultimate end game should be get Penta built up as fast as you can to where you want to get him, and then let Chad Gable take over. There's got to be an end game for what they want to do with Penta. The Intercontinental title can't be it. And Penta is a former world champion. Yes. He has won a world championship in other companies. So it's not like he can't be a world champion at some point. But if that is your goal, then let's move it a little faster so Chad Gable can get the respect that he's earned over the past couple years and get him to be in the forefront of that Intercontinental title picture. I get it by all means. Penta, I'm not sick of Penta being the Intercontinental champion. I'm not. I love Penta being the Intercontinental champion. But at some point, you also got to start getting newer guys in your world title picture. Because people are going to get sick of Cody, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins being in that picture all the time. And you got to start getting your next line and generation of guys. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, their promo 3 weeks ago said it perfectly. We are closer to the end than we are to the beginning. This could be the last time we face each other for this world championship because newer guys are coming in. Penta, I believe, is part of those newer guys that could be on the forefront of a world championship. He has enough talent to do it, and he's been a former world champion.
I mean, like I said, I'd be down for Penta versus Roman.
Why not?
I think it'd be great.
Be a great match. That right there, if pay-per-views were still $50 for WWE, that's money. I'm buying that pay-per-view. Because if Penta's set to win the title, I want to see it. And even if not, it'd be a great match. So I think at the same time with Chad Gable just came back as Chad Gable. Okay. And they really launched him to the Intercontinental title picture quick. Part of me feels like with launching him as quick as they did, they backed themselves into a corner a little bit, especially with the success Penta's having. Because now you're in the position of fans want Chad Gable to win it, but you also still have Penta, who's doing a great job. Should you have gotten there this quick? I get it. It's SummerSlam. You want to have that match on the card. And it's going to be that sleeper match that can end up stealing one of the nights, whatever night it's going to be on. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you have Penta win, what are you going to do with Chad Gable? And you can't put him in any type of bullshit storylines after this. You need to keep him in this scene. And it's not hard to do. But if Penta loses the Intercontinental title and Chad Gable wins, then you really got to think, you have a bunch of competition lined up. Rusev, Ethan Page, Javon Evans. You maybe even throw Dragon Lee in there. Bunch of competition for Chad Gable. And like you said, Chad Gable is a fucking Swiss Army knife. He could be a heel. He could be a babyface. He could be hated. He can be loved. Anything. You do anything with Chad Gable, and it's going to be gold. So they got a huge decision to make in these next 10 days. 11 if you count Sunday. And they don't go on until Sunday. You got a huge decision to make with this Intercontinental Championship in the next 11 days. Mm-hmm. So, last thing to talk about, Solo Sikoa came out to call out Seth Rollins. Why? Because he's telling Seth Rollins that he wants to have his back at SummerSlam. He made a point to Seth Rollins saying that the Bloodline is already planning on making sure you don't walk out of Minnesota with the World Heavyweight Championship. The Usos are going to get involved. Jacob's going to get involved. So let me have your back. And Seth Rollins goes, well, let me think about it. And Solo says, what's there to think about? It's a foregone conclusion. You know it. It's on the wall. It's right there in front of you. You know this group is going to try and do this to you. Why would you not want anybody having your back? And Jacob Fatu came out. Solo goes running. And then Seth Rollins ends up super kicking Jacob. And then we get a backstage segment to where Seth Rollins says, hey, you can't touch me because, the OTC wouldn't want you to put your hands on me. And Jacob said, well, after SummerSlam, regardless of what happens, whether you walk out with the world title or not, I'm kicking your ass. And Seth Rollins said, I can't wait. So your thoughts on Solo, Seth, Roman? I mean, we got that big build-up tonight with the history of Roman and Seth. with the Shield and them fighting for the world title in the past. I mean, your thoughts on this whole thing? Do you think Solo Sikoa is number one? The thing I think to think of is Solo Sikoa being true to his word, or do you think Solo is putting up a front?
Oh, it's a front. I've said that since the beginning. Since as soon as he got involved, I said, yeah, he's eventually going to fall in line. My prediction timeline of when that happens is at WrestleMania next year.
Okay,
so it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a long time, but I think eventually he falls in line as well. Right now, I think it's just a front. Yeah, it's kind of weird. This segment was a little weird because I was like, wait a second, you're already in a match though. Like
yeah.
I was confused about that. Like I was already you're already in a match. Now it's probably not going to matter if that match takes place night 1 and this match takes place night 2. That's not going to matter here, neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of bloodline involvement. That seems like a lot of work for Solo Sikoa to be on night 1 and night 2 potentially. With this. This could be the explanation or the reason why I think that, the writing is on the walls with why Seth probably won't walk out as world champion. I see Solo probably getting involved regardless of Seth wanting his help or not, inadvertently costing Seth Rollins the world championship. And then I don't know what Roman does from there. Maybe then we get Roman. We definitely have to get Roman and Solo again. I would assume, as much as Solo is so involved. So yeah, no, I definitely think that's going to happen. Jacob is just doing what Jacob is supposed to do. He's like, Roman's bodyguard essentially.
Yeah.
So definitely, there's things there. You could even pivot to Seth and Fatu after that, after this match potentially happens as well. So really not a whole lot to take away here. Again, I think they are just kind of covering for Roman not being there tonight. So, and again, when that happens, when you don't have one of the opponents or one of the people that are in this match, you have to think of ways to kind of sprinkle in, what you're doing or what you're trying to build or what you're trying to tell for television, and that can get difficult, especially if they're gone for a number of weeks. Then it's like you really don't know what to do. It just starts to feel like it starts to feel empty. Like, okay, we need to hear from the champion because we haven't heard from them in weeks, or we didn't hear from them tonight. Like, it's weird. It's weird to just only hear from one of the challengers. So again, just kind of a weird segment here. Again, to me, I think Solo is just kind of putting up this front. I wouldn't even be surprised if his ego gets involved and they lose the 6-man tag because of that. He inadvertently cost them the 6-man tag match. So we'll definitely have to see there, but not really a whole lot to take away from this this particular segment.
I mean, LA Knight later on the night didn't seem too happy about this. He didn't. So, and he even said, "Hey, why would you need to have Seth back if we're going to take care of these guys, before the world title match even hits the ring?"
Yeah.
So that shouldn't even be a concern. But again, I mean, the bloodline alone looked strong tonight, standing tall, especially at the end of the show. So I think Solo's raising his ones at the end of SummerSlam. I think it's a front too. I do, and I've been saying it for a while now that with this second coming of the bloodline, I think Solo was going to fall in line. So all the pieces of the puzzle are kind of coming back together with this bloodline, and Solo is probably the last piece of that puzzle. Maybe even a Paul Heyman return once Brock's done.
Potential.
Because what does Paul Heyman do after SummerSlam?
I don't know.
Hopefully Braun Breaker, like you've been saying. Yeah. But if not, maybe he goes back to being the wise man for the OTC. But we'll have to find out. Go home show next week for Monday Night Raw, and we will be making our SummerSlam predictions next Monday night here on the Table Spot, along with talking about Monday Night Raw, the go home show for SummerSlam. Cam, superstar of the night. Who's your superstar of the night?
Superstar of the night. I got to go with LA Knight.
Okay.
LA Knight, once again, like I said, just had a fantastic promo, I think. He might even have another catchphrase as well, as I was telling you before, that I could see that end up catching fire eventually. He's just great. Like I said, they I feel like backstage they can't stand him. they're trying to find ways to just bury him again or just push him back down the ladder and keep him from just rising to the top as he would say. And they just can't. Like his promos are they're the most natural feeling promos. Like everything he's saying, it's not like he's saying something where it feels scripted or it feels forced and you're scratching your head going, that doesn't make any sense. Everything he's saying or has said to Seth and tonight, everything makes sense. This doesn't sound scripted. This sounds like this is coming from a frustrated and fed up LA Knight, and it's amazing right now. I'm fully behind it. I don't know where they go with it. Probably nowhere. I'm expecting them to disappoint me once again with this LA Knight thing, but right now it's in a good position.
Mine's not necessarily a superstar. Mine's Paul Heyman. I mean, I loved the vignette tonight.
Say that too. I was going to say that.
I mean, I'll add it on if you want me to add it on along with LA Knight.
Yeah, might as well.
Because I'm keeping track of this stuff. I mean, so because when we get to the end of the year, when we do the Table Spot Awards and everything like that, I'm gonna see who we picked throughout the year. So so I have it written down. I'll put Paul Heyman on there as well for you. But Paul Heyman's mine. I mean, his vignette tonight was fucking amazing. Loved it. Loved how they did it. Loved the setting. Loved what he said. Everything. He got me to buy in on the Hell in a Cell match. He sold me. So Paul Heyman is my superstar of the night. Cam, last thing on this day. So you want to hear a fun fact, Cam?
Okay.
1992. A certain wrestler taped his very first match for WWE, WWF at the time, and he defeated a superstar named Jim Powers, Paul Van Dam, and Tony Roy in all separate matches. So he ended up taping 3 matches basically in one day against 3 different superstars back in 1992, and that is one Razor Ramon.
Nice.
Yep. So I looked on the On This Day thing and I was like, this was like the coolest one out of all of them that happened on this day. And a couple other things happened on this day. WWE Battleground back in 2014, 2008, we had Great American Bash. I don't know what the main event of that was, but this one was the coolest, I'd have to say. So, yep, Razor Ramon taped his first 3 matches of the night. So, Cam, it's about that time. We're going to get the hell out of here. The first episode of the Table Spot is in the books, the re-debut of the Table Spot. Your social medias are going to be on the bottom. What do you want to let the people know?
Like I said, definitely keep with me on my socials on Cam's Wrestling Corner, predictions, reviews, and whatnot have you. And then, of course, keep up with us right here back on the PW Network. Once again, every single Wednesday night with me, Middlecore Mike, and of course, the addition of Phil Kahn talking about some AEW Dynamite with another episode of The Boom. And like I said, football is starting up pretty soon as well. That will be on the Huddle Hub Network, of course, me and Middlecore Mike. So excited for that. That's going to be a journey, I would say, going into the fall. So I'm excited for that as well. We'll be back here next Monday night with another episode of the Table Spot, talking more Monday Night Raw, the go home before SummerSlam. Big SummerSlam implication. The card is looking pretty stacked as it is right now. So love and appreciate all you guys come by and checking out the stream tonight.
All right, so make sure you're checking out everything that Cam is doing, not only on his personal social medias, Cam's Wrestling Corner. Great videos over there. I'm not just saying it because this man is digitally sitting next to me. Go check out those videos. And, of course, like Cam said, myself, him, and Phil on the Boom PW Pod on Twitch and on YouTube on Wednesday night after AEW Dynamite. Go make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch and the subscribe button over on YouTube so you can catch the show after AEW Dynamite every Wednesday night as we talk about the show after the show. And like Cam said, the Huddle Hub Podcast. Twitch.tv/The Huddle Hub Podcast, YouTube.com/@The Huddle Hub Pod. Me and John will be live tomorrow afternoon. We are breaking down each college football conference on Tuesday leading up to the college football season. Last week, we did what conference did we do? We did the Sun Belt last week. This week, we are doing Conference USA, and we are doing the American Conference. We're doing 2 conferences this week, Tuesday afternoon. I will post the time if you go follow us on TikTok and on X at the Huddle Hub Pod. The time will be announced tomorrow morning for the show tomorrow afternoon. So come join us. And then I'm live every Sunday morning during the off season, and Cam will be with me during the season on Sunday mornings. I'm putting together some cool segments for the Sunday morning show. I just did my rankings for quarterbacks for the 2026 season. That video will be posted by tomorrow afternoon on all the social medias. And I'm working on my top 32 rankings for running backs, the RB1s. So that's going to be an interesting list. You can catch me on social media, TikTok, Instagram, X, and on YouTube. Metal Mike 714. That's where you can find me. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. We will see you guys on the boom on Wednesday night and back here on the table spot next Monday night. Be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. Until next time, deuces.